Hi everybody, welcome to my Action Research Multimedia presentation. I'm David Lomas from the Technological Education and Construction Technology. So I chose to do my action research on how do I show students the importance of learning math in regards to its practical use in construction. It's clear in Ontario that math is an important thing for students to know. Students need to develop these skills to help them succeed in their future years. I would like to investigate a variety of teaching strategies to help my students improve their math skills, particularly in relation to the construction industry. Students need to develop imperial as well as metric measurement skills through reading and interpretation, calculation, and verbal communication. The construction industry relies on mathematical competent people. I believe that relating to real-world practical use may be the key to help students develop these skills. I would like to research some new ideas on how I can make connections between in-school learning and meaningful life skills. So, the issues I've seen in the classroom are students can't read a measuring tape. It seems like a really simple skill that most people would know, but in fact, not everybody knows about this. There is a skill in to fully understand how to measure properly. It's not as simple as just pulling a tape and marking the number. Students need to do calculations as they go through those. Students don't understand why they need to learn math in construction class. They can't seem to connect that link between what they're learning and how it's going to make them money in the future years, save them money, etc. And the final thing was students don't have a good understanding of imperial versus metric measurement. So we don't really learn imperial measuring very much in Canada, so in their math classes they haven't been taught that, so it's up to tech teachers to teach them that. The reason why we don't use it is, well, we're based on the metric system, but in the trades they decided not to switch from imperial, so we're still stuck with that. So I broke down my research questions into 3 parts. First one being, how can I improve students' ability to read, record, and interpret measuring using a measuring tape in my classroom? How do I show students the importance of learning math, and how to convert this knowledge into practical use in construction? And finally, how can I improve on helping students calculate and demonstrate the differences between metric and imperial measurement in my classroom? So the definition, basically what I've already explained, is the metric and imperial math is the main thing used in construction. We do use both, but it's mostly imperial. And by using imperial, calculators usually don't work out because they don't do feet, inches, and yards. So we have to often convert decimal points to make our calculations, which is pretty difficult for students to comprehend. So the students need to be able to identify and use measuring to ensure their success. They must understand the differences between inches and or metric and imperial. I did a little example there, like 12 inches and 12 inches. Those are the same, that's the same meaning, there's just those two ticks there that identify it. And same with the meters. Small m is what a meter means. So, here in Ontario, it has been identified by the Ministry of Education, so this is real stuff. Math is a major area of need for development within our schools. Some people believe that the problem is caused by the lack of interest by students, as they do not see the need for math in their future daily lives. It's up to us teachers to find ways to help students see the importance. This problem is not only aimed towards math teachers, but the entire school working towards a common goal. Tech teachers play a huge role in this development. The following literature review identifies a variety of approaches to achieve student success in math through connection to real life use. So finding solutions to help students learn mathematical concepts has always been a difficult task for many teachers. Simkin, Cole, Tavlin, and Means, 2002, highlights the importance of making a real-world connection through a 7-dimension system, which is curriculum, multimedia, real-world connection, assessment, collaboration, extended time, and student decision making. So these are all an excellent idea. And then we go on to technological education teachers often find ways to help their students learn new mathematical concepts which they never have been taught before. Lamar identifies an order of sequence which would be over a 4-day period. And the main thing I noticed was starting with pre-testing students. By pre-testing them on what they already know, teachers can design their lessons to fit that class. Sometimes you might have a class that has a lot of smart kids that already know this stuff, and other times you might have to teach right from the very basics of adding and subtracting. Teachers need to find ways to make lessons meaningful to their students. Felton identifies the need for students to see the importance of mathematics in their lives and cultural backgrounds. He identifies 2 options for teaching. One is generic math problems, which students might not really get the connection. Got an example of calculating gumball ratios, like who's going to use that in their life? So you should focus on more authentic and meaningful things, like my example there of how much hardwood flooring and what the material cost would be. If you can teach students something that they can see themselves using in the future, they will be more inclined to learn it. Building programs that help students succeed is most important. It can be important to collaborate with the learning community when creating programs for students. So the learning community is other teachers, other educators, EAs, anybody you can find really. So Queensland University created a program to help students connect to real-world concepts through sensory experiences using their hands, bodies, and mind. This program was successful in more than 100 schools in Queensland, and has been a really high success rate for them. Another team of 4 teachers conducted a study that revealed that students became more confident through making real-world connections. So with this crisis, School boards are seeking out new solutions to help students learn. It appears that linking real-world problems in school learning really can make the difference in student development. Tech teachers can easily bridge the gap between the school and the workplace through authentic and meaningful concepts for their students. So my research action plan. So aside from pre-existing research, data sources I collect will be math/measuring pre-assessment. So I'm going to take that idea that Felton had about using a pre-assessment to figure out how I should go about with my students. I'm going to constantly be taking observational notes. Throughout the year, I will be observing the students and seeing how their math and measuring skills are doing and progressing. I can see them through communication, thinking, knowledge and understanding, and applications. Student reflections or feedback. So I'm going to have my students constantly reflect to me, whether they're talking to me or at the end of all their assignments, I will ask them to tell me what they liked and what they're struggling with so I can improve myself. And the student projects. So in construction, we're always building projects, and if they're not being built right, it usually comes down to measuring. They're not understanding the measuring skills, and it shows on their project. So through triangulation, validity, and reliability, so these are the things that I'm looking for and how I'm going to assess them. So participants, ideally I'd like to do it for a grade 10 class. This is where they just chose to be in their first level of full-on construction. And I'll be recording the data and analysis. And I could have other teachers come in co-curricular opportunities, and they can record as well. So the ethical standards, just basically keeping confidentiality while recording all this research, following board policies, not using names, etc. So my timeline chart, observational notes would be on a daily basis throughout the semester. Student reflections would be on assignments and one-on-one discussions with my students. Student projects will be ongoing throughout the semester. And the pre-assessments, these I'd like to do early in the semester and perhaps at midterm. So to close this, student learning is dependent on teachers' ongoing professional development and experimentation in the classroom. This action research of incorporating a connection between math and practical application will provide a strong plan of action in teaching construction. I have assembled and will keep on assembling research in what worked for other educators. I will continue to develop and record my own research in my classroom. Through observation, application, and assessment, I can learn what I need to do to help my students make these connections. Thank you.